Hey, John, do you have a question for Russell? John Boyle?
I'll start it off. Yeah. Russ, we were just talking to Dwayne earlier. He's been your teammate now a few years. What were your first impressions when he got here? The player he is, and just how nice is it over a 3-4 year stretch to have that kind of play protecting your blind side?
Well, I've always heard of the legend of Dwayne Brown. He's from Richmond, Virginia. Man, he went to Hermitage High. I was right down the street from him, so I always, um, growing up playing and all that stuff, I kind of always knew kind of what kind of player he was. Went to Virginia Tech and all that, so I always knew who Dwayne was. And then when he was obviously playing tackle for the Texans, I always saw what a great player he was. So then when we had the opportunity to try to go pursue him, I was super fired up about the opportunity just because of the type of player he is, the grit that he brings, all the things that he can do athletically, get on the edge and all that. So, as soon as he got here, we were fired up, we were connected, and just to have a guy who's so consistent every week, a guy who's so dominant at the left tackle position like Dwayne is, to me, I think he's one of the best left tackles in the game, if not the best one in my opinion. And so, I think that all the things that he can do, how athletic he is, I don't think anybody else can do. So I think he's a Pro Bowl player. I think he's an all-pro player. I think he can do everything, and he's shown that over his career and over the time that he's been here as well.
What were some of the high school legends? What was he doing in high school?
He was just dominating. He was just a great player. Everybody kind of knew who he was, and I'm trying to remember what year he graduated, but I think he was closer to my brother's age. So in year. So we kind of always kind of knew who the top players, were in the Richmond, Virginia area and just Virginia as a whole.
Corbin?
Hey, Russ, there were reports that surfaced this past weekend about Brian Schottenheimer maybe being a candidate for the Texans head coaching job. You've been with him now for 3 seasons. What qualities does he bring to the table that you think would make him a quality NFL head coach? And how would somebody like Deshaun Watson be influenced by him as far as being coached as a quarterback?
Well, first of all, I think Shotty would be a tremendous head coach in this game. I think he understands the game so well. He's got that great pedigree. I think, obviously, his dad, he's been around the game for so long. He's coached a lot of great quarterbacks, along the process, along the way. Starting off early on with Drew and Phil and those guys, and then, a lot of other great ones along the way. So, I think that he also understands the game extremely well. He's a great coach. He's a great teacher of the game. He's always motivated. He always works hard. Great family guy, too, as well. I love him as a person, and I think all the things that he can do, as a play caller, as confident as he is and all that, I think he'd be great. And I think he's a great leader of men too as well. So I think he'd be a great head coach, that's the problem with this game. Sometimes, when your team's playing great and everybody's, scoring touchdowns and making plays, you lose some people you love sometimes, and so, if he does get a great opportunity, I know he'll be great at it. And and so you want to root for him for sure.
Matt Calkins.
Hey, Russell. Last year, after a game, DK Metcalf wore a Steve Largent jersey, and someone asked him about it. He was like, well, Largent's the GOAT receiver in Seattle. I want to be like him. And now he's 107 yards away from breaking his single-season receiving yards total. I'm just curious what you think about that 35-year-old record and what that means to you as well, as someone who's throwing the ball.
Well, obviously to have a great receiver like DK to compete with a guy like Steve Largent in terms of, the yards for the season and all that, franchise record like that, that's a big record. And for that record's been going on for a long time, for 35 years. We've had some great receivers here and all too as well when you think about it. And so, but DK is he's a special player, I think he's obviously a freak athlete, but he's super focused on the game and growing and building. And we've had so much time together and so much fun together, just really getting to know each other. So in terms of having a great player like that, he's a dominant player. He's going to be a dominant player for a long time, and the key is staying healthy and all that. But he's got the right approach. He has the right approach. And, he has the right pedigree, too, with his dad playing in the NFL. He's understood the game. He's understood the process. And, he can make every catch, do everything you want him to do. And to be even in the same, category, mentioned in the same category as a guy like Steve Largent so early is a blessing in itself. And I know he's definitely grateful for that. And he has tons of respect for Steve, too, as well. So he always talks about him, and, and we want to be great together. So hopefully there's a lot more things that he can do along the road. Hopefully that won't be the only record he breaks. And hopefully I can be a part of it for a long time with him.
Michael Sean.
So opening yourself up to the public, whether that's on social media or in an interview or your podcast or whatever, how do you decide what's too much or what's just enough, to reveal to the public about yourself or your family?
I think that you have a good balance. I think you have great fans and people that care about your family too and all that stuff. So I think that you use your just natural discretion, I guess. I don't know. I never really thought about it that way. Mike, it's a good question. I think more than anything else is just to me, I think life's about loving and sharing that and loving what you do and passionate about what you do. And so I try to share the things I'm passionate about. And for Danger Talk, for example, I love talking to people who have the highs and lows of life and just gone through so many things and also great experience. And so that way whoever's listening can grow for something. I think from my social, for example, it's a lot of it's really about all the lights cut off here, but a lot of it's about my family and the time that we get to share together and all that. And during the season, we don't do as much, but I think it's just a blessing. And you get your business and stuff too as well. But I think people want to share that with thinking about football season. It's a great time to share everything that's going on. And it's an exciting time right now that we're in. So I think there's a good balance. And I think that I'm always about my family first and God first and my family. And so I think that's really important to me. Yeah.
Curtis?
Yeah, Russell, how wild was it for you last year, all of a sudden losing all three of your running backs in 8 days last December and finding yourselves in the situation you did, and contrasting that now to having Rashad coming back, Carson and Carlos being ready to go for you, and how different it seems like you guys are at this stage in the year compared to a year ago?
Yeah, last year was tough because we had lost some great players along the way. You think you lost all your running backs, so that was tough. I think Dwayne went down, right around this time too. Unfortunately, he was battling, trying to come back, and you lose some great football players that can score touchdowns and do a lot of things and protect us and do all that. And so, that's the tough part of this game. People go down sometimes, and get injured or whatever. But the good thing is these guys have worked their tails to get back. I'm super excited for Penny, just how hard he's worked his tail off just to get back from the injury that he had, and how confident he's looking out there. I think about obviously Chris Carson. He's been one of the best players in this league for a long time, and he's done some great things, and he's gone through some tough battles, not just physically but also in life. And I think he's handled them with style and grace. I think he's a guy who has great confidence when he's out there, and we need him out there. He can catch, he can run, he can block, he can do it all. And you want guys like that, especially when you're trying to win a championship. And others along the way. And I think that the important thing is that we want to keep guys as healthy as possible, keep everybody rolling, and have a lot of fun while we're doing it.
Masvita?
Yeah. Hey, Russ, just wondering if you talk about the offensive line and just you all have gone through a lot of stuff, and yet it seems like there's been some continuity and some productivity there.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with offensive lines, you always want to have that continuity. Like you said, I think, early on in the season, especially the first 5-6 games, we had that continuity. Early on, that really helped. And then guys kind of went down there, and it's tough when you're playing really good teams, obviously, and you want to get those guys healthy again. And so, I think we're getting healthy right at the right time, and I think that's going to be really key for us. And hopefully we can stay that way. That's one of the biggest parts of this game. Is especially when you play in our division, the type of guys who rush and some of the games we have to play and all that. You want your guys, fully out there. And I think the guys who have stepped in and stepped up have done a great job too. So, I think that the good thing is that we're getting everybody healthy. It looks like we're getting healthier along the way. Hopefully, guys can get back here, the guys who are dinged up, and we'll see how far we can take this thing.
Greg Bell?
One question on DK. Is his, like I've noticed a couple times when other players have been hit or you've been hit, he's come to the rescue, you know what I mean, to kind of protect that. Is his love for teammates something that you've seen or that's underrated that we don't get to see because of that position?
Yeah, I think he's one of the best guys, to support his teammates, and obviously when somebody goes down or somebody tries to, hit somebody late or anything like that, he's one of the first guys in there. He's probably one of the biggest guys in there too at the same time, but I think that his passion for his teammates and how much he cares about winning is, definitely shows.
Greg?
Hi, Russ. Hey, Mr. Phillips from Richmond might ask you something like this too, but do you still have meaning to go back and play in Washington? What is an hour and a half from Richmond? And do we have any folks
interest, and I know you can't see them this time around, but is that still a big deal?
Yeah, do they have people in the stadium? Do they have people in the stadium? I don't even know. I don't think they do, right? Yeah. But yeah, no. Anytime I get to go back east, it's always a blessing. I got family live in New York. I got family live in D.C. area, and obviously in Virginia, and a lot of family friends and all that live all up and down the coast there. So it's always a special thing when I get to go back, and I go back to that playoff game in 2012, and how many my family friends were there and stuff like that. It was a really cool moment. But yeah, I think it's always really cool to go back home, and I think it's a blessing. And I know they have training camp, I believe, right in Richmond too nowadays, and all that. So I know a lot of my family friends go to the training camp and get to see all that. So yeah, it always means the world to me to go back home.
And Michael Phillips from the Richmond Times-Dispatch.
Great to be talking to you on Zoom here.
Hey, nice, Mike.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to look back at that playoff game just almost 9 years ago. What it's like to be 9 years into this journey, and whether that changes how you view the memories of your time looking back.
Well, when I think back to growing up, I think back to just over my life and my goals and the things that you go out and the obstacles you have to overcome, and just obstacles in life, obstacles in in the game and everything else. There's moments in life that you always remember. You always remember that the time you get drafted. You remember that time you hit your first home run. You may remember that time where you throw your first NFL touchdown pass or whatever it is. You remember the time when you win your first playoff game. And that was a special moment. Obviously for this organization to go on the road, to win, on the road, in Washington, in a tough environment. I think it's about 90,000 some people there and everything else to win a great game like that, and just it was a great team effort. I remember that, and and I think that those moments are help dictate and help show what kind of player and who you're going to be throughout your career too, as well. I think, and for me, like I've always said, I've always looked forward to the challenges. I've always looked forward to going on the road. I've always looked forward to having to play in a tough environment. I look forward to playoff games. I look forward to those championship games and such, Super Bowls and all. And I think that for me, that was one of those moments that, your whole life you dream about playing, in a playoff game and getting your first chance to snap it up and lace your cleats up and go out there and hopefully win. And I think this game's all about winning. I think it's the number one thing why we do this thing, and is to go out there and win. And so. I think the reality is that if you're not winning, what are we doing it for? And so for me, I think everything you do, you just keep preparing for it. And that was one of those moments for sure. And it's such a blessing when I think back to it. It feels like it was yesterday. I feel like I'm just getting started, and that's the exciting part. And I feel like us as an organization, I think, we're doing some great things too as well. And we got great players and great guys, and the character of the guys we have on this team, it's a blessing, and just guys who are working their tail off every day. So hopefully we can make something really special of it.
Last one for Russell, Brady.
Hey Russ, what do you remember your first impression of KJ Wright when you were a rookie? I know he had been here for a year, but what was your first impression of him?
Well, when I came out to practice, first of all, I just remember the whole defense flying around and everything else. But I remember, I had to throw an over route, I think it was, and I remember getting outside the pocket. And first of all, he could move and shuffle so swiftly. But how long his arms were to try to get this ball around him was fascinating. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. It was like he was playing defensive end but playing linebacker, and just he had such long arms, and you kind of had to try to find a lane to throw it in, and he's been spectacular for us. He's been in my opinion, he's been Mr. Consistent along the way. He's consistent every day. He's consistent in his approach. He's consistent in his play. He's a Pro Bowl type player. He's consistent in his in how he treats his teammates and everything else too as well. He loves this game. He's consistent in his preparation, and he's a consistent winner. He just finds a way to make a play. And that's what you love about him. And he's a great dad too. He's a family guy and stuff like that. So, it's been one of the coolest things to watch and to be a part of this journey for the past 9 years for me and Bobby. But to watch Bobby and KJ do what they're doing. I guess somebody needs to write about it. It's pretty special.
And then one more on playing in Washington. I think you've played on that field twice. What kind of cleats have you had to wear, and have you had to do anything differently footwear wise than you do at other grass fields?
Oh yeah, it depends on the weather and all that. I think last time in the playoff game, I think I wore longer spikes, and just because the grass isn't always the best there sometimes. So I'm not sure what we'll have to do here. I lean on the equipment team. We got the best equipment guy in the business in EK, so he's the best at what he does, and so I'll go in there and probably right after this and actually talk to him about it. So what I'll do and what I'll wear. So. But yeah, I still wear my normal cleats, my normal style cleats and stuff like that, but the bottom may be different.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys. Go
everyone.
Hawks.